anything in the film that you've seen since then that strikes you that maybe that can be corrected?
Yeah, there's a lot that can be corrected. I think the disappointing thing is, you felt like the issues that we had were corrected before the game. Obviously, that was not the case. We need to take pride in the physicality of the game of football. You got to give Notre Dame credit; like they punched us in the mouth right from the opening kickoff, and we flinched. And as the head coach, I can't allow that to happen. I have to do a better job in preparing our guys for what is to be expected from that type of opponent on a game day. And I've got to do a better job of preparing us for opportunities and moments like that, because we're gonna have them all throughout the course of the year. So there were obviously a couple schematic issues, technique issues that are easily corrected. Just being disciplined with eyes, discipline with pre-snap alignments, discipline with IDing the right. The right, formation and set that is in front of you pre-snap, and you'll get those every game, right? Like I said, to me, the disappointing thing coming out of the game was that we physically got beat up, and I didn't see that coming, and we'll make sure that never happens again.
2 games in, Ryan, what do you think the team's identity is?
Yeah, that's what we had a very candid conversation yesterday about. I have always operated in truth to the team, not sugarcoating or gassing anybody up, just telling them what are the facts. And the fact right now is we are a 1-1 football team that has lost to a ranked non-conference opponent. But the fact also is that we lost 66-7, and we have to own the worst loss in program history, and that falls on my shoulders. That first game we executed at a high level. I don't care who you play against. We executed well. We played tough and physical. We tackled well. We made the right reads offensively. We ID'd the right fronts offensively. And we were excited and energized to play. And then the second outing, it was the opposite. And so, right now I told the team, you are both teams, and it is our decision on which team we want to be moving forward. Like I said, post game, I also can't ignore, what I've seen since January. I can't ignore what I saw in spring ball. I can't ignore what I've seen in fall camp and how I felt going into last Saturday. But we also can't turn a blind eye to what transpired for the last 4 quarters. So I'm excited as heck to get back on a practice field. I can't wait for Saturday. I embrace struggle. I embrace adversity. And this team will as well. And so I'm excited to see how we respond, and fully expect us to respond the right way.
Ryan, are there benefits to taking a road trip, especially not just the way you lost, just any loss, to get away from the noise and the things that they're going to hear, and setting a travel roster, going out and staying together in a hotel, a lot of guys who probably aren't familiar with each other to date?
Well, even at home games, we travel and stay in a hotel together, maybe there's benefits to getting out on the road. I just want to play again, and I know our guys want to play again. I love being at Ross 8. I love playing in front of our fans. I get their frustration. I'm a Laker fan, and when Lakers don't play well, I'm angry, right? And as far as like the noise and it's easy to have an opinion that is without consequence on social media, you know what I mean? So our guys got to do a good job of blocking that type of noise out. The only way you fix that and quiet that is you got to go perform well. And so I'm excited to go do that, whether it be home or away. I want to go play again.
think last season you were competitive in pretty much every game, maybe not the Ohio State game, but the losses, it seemed like they responded well. And I'm assuming you expect that to be the case. Hudson said Saturday, we can't let this affect the Oregon State game. So how do you quickly turn that and put that behind you and realize you're still a good football team?
Yeah, I think Hudson's exactly right. You don't want the embarrassment and the disappointment hangover to affect how you play on Saturday. And so, I think the way you get over it, and I don't know if you ever really get over it. I think you need to wrestle with it and you need to learn from it, so that you're reminded of what will happen if you perform that way again. But to me, the way to positively move forward is you need to address it. You need to look at it through realistic lenses, and confront it. You need to confront the adversity head on. And I thought we did that yesterday. That tape was hard to watch, and it was hard for some of the guys to take accountability of their performance. It's hard to watch, all three phases as a head coach, in knowing that, ultimately I'm responsible for everything that transpires on game day. But in order to move forward and to get this team where we need to go, that's what you have to do, from top to bottom, from myself to the last guy on the roster. So I felt like we did that yesterday. And seeing guys today, they're in a good place. They're excited and eager to get back on the practice field, and I'm sure they're going to be excited to play on Saturday.
I know Saturday you said there were no positives out of that game. This is probably a negative that you punted so much, but I thought your punter performed pretty well given the circumstances and how much pressure he was under. How big of a weapon can that be, especially when you get in these tighter ball games where you can flip the field and rely on your defense?
Yeah, I mean, it can really be an asset. Like you say, you flip the field, and just from a percentage standpoint, it gets back into your favor on being able to keep points off the board from your opponent. I do think if there was a silver lining positive from the game, usually, when you have a performance like that and you have a disappointment that is that big, usually there are issues in the locker room. If we would have had that type of performance a year ago, it would have took a lot to sort of galvanize the troops and regroup. And on purpose, I paid attention to what was being said and how people were acting on the sideline. Hung around the locker room a little bit longer than normal. And this team is together. This team is tight knit. This team is they believe in each other, and they're ready to move forward. And so we got a choice right now. We can. On Saturday, we can either be 2-1 or we can be 1-2, and that's the reality of where we're at.
You talked about getting punched in the mouth early and needing to fix it. Just how do you go about fixing that aspect, at least? Yeah,
I think you draw back on lessons learned, right? We just saw what happens when you get punched in the mouth and you flinch. So moving forward, if that happens, especially early, we got to punch back, and we got to embrace the challenge. Embrace the physicality and embrace the urgency with which we need to execute in order to climb back and get momentum back. I thought, one of the reasons that it kept faltering is just we weren't playing complementary football. Defensively we couldn't get a stop on third downs, and then offensively we're off the field fast, and so that is not a recipe for success. And so, we'll address that and be better moving forward.
You talked when you took this job about how you had been sort of accumulating a kind of head coaching playbook over the years. Is there anything in there about when you suffer a loss, either in circumstance or magnitude like this, how you respond to that? Either something you experienced as a player, something you saw another coach do to pull a team back together? Yeah,
it's in what I have seen throughout my career, when you start to deviate from your plan or deviate from your beliefs as a program, then as a leader you start to falter, and that gets felt, and it permeates throughout the locker room, and it is not good. The guys that I've seen be successful when they have performances like this, or maybe a string of adverse moments, if they don't falter and they stay steady and they stay even keeled and they stay convicted in what they believe in, then so do the people that follow them. And so I'm as confident as I've ever been. I have strong belief in what we're doing and how we're doing things. And so it's you can't have a like I said, an impulsive or a knee-jerk reaction to a 4-quarter instance. You can't ignore it. Like I said earlier, you got to address the issues and find reasons why it happened and attack those and make the struggle a strength. But I'm not deviating from what we're doing or what we believe in, and we just got to get better.
In terms of the physicality absence that you saw, you're mentioning a lot of things that I guess kind of come down to mindset. How much of that is on the coaches? Or, I mean, you were a player. Like, how much of that is on individuals that have to kind of step up and do that on their own?
I think it's both. Obviously, the as a player, like you want to embrace that challenge. But as a coach, I also have to make sure that they're prepared to embrace that challenge and to expect that type of challenge. And so I got to put them in situations throughout the course of the week where that is tested, so that if we see that, then we can address it before the game instead of after. So like I said, what happened. We can't ignore it, but we also can't let it affect how we are throughout the season.
From a defensive perspective, what needed to be better on the edge, specifically with your rush ends? Was that discipline? Was that physicality? Assignments?
Yeah, I think for the most part it was pre-snap alignment and technique. When you are responsible for the edge and the edge is lost, it's usually not good, right? And you got, like I said, you got to give Notre Dame credit. I thought going into it, those would be two of the better backs we'll see all season, and they are. And so I don't know if that the speed or the quickness of the decision making surprised us. But like I said, I think we can be better just from a pre-snap alignment to put ourselves in better position to be able to react.
Managing the logistics of this trip west in season. This is not going to be a one-off deal now in the Big Ten. Just what sort of challenges does this pose to do this in September as opposed to it being a postseason bowl game or something like that?
Well, I mean, you only have a week of prep right before you head out there. Obviously, the biggest challenge is just the 3-hour time difference. So usually you travel on a Friday to an away game. We'll leave Thursday after our morning practice so that we can try to get as acclimated as possible. And then the challenge will be the next week. And we get back, I think, around 6:30 our time on Sunday morning. And so that's a quick turnaround from an internal clock and from a recovery standpoint. So that it'll be an interesting learning experience, moving forward. I know this is our only trip out west this season, but next year we'll have to take another one. So.